There is a strangely effective kind of magic. You sprinkle a pinch of white crystals into a thin pot of soup, and suddenly your brain behaves as if it has just received a meal rich in protein and energy, even though, in reality, that bowl is still as meager as before. This isn't mystical sorcery. It's biology in action.
I'm so glad
the way
we
the
decided to
body
come here
reads
today.
nutritional
Me too. This is
signals
exactly
through
what I
taste.
needed.
For nearly a century, that molecule has been treated like an imposter, a cheat that tricks the body, a stealthy industrial chemical slipping into our food. It has been suspended between two worlds on one side, laboratories insisting it is safe at typical levels of consumption. On the other, popular culture convinced that if it's a white powder, it must be guilty. And here's the irony. Your body doesn't merely tolerate glutamate, your body is built to crave it. So what exactly are we afraid of when we fear MSG? Or are we really afraid of what science reveals that deliciousness is sometimes nothing more than a survival signal we've learned to misread? Taste is not a tool for pleasure. It is a biological sorting machine. In the prehistoric world, you didn't have nutrition labels or protein assays. You had one life or death question. Will this help me keep living? Sweetness hinted at fast energy. Bitterness warned of toxins.
Perfect.
Sourness suggested spoilage. And umami, the fifth taste, was the subtlest message of all. There are traces of protein here. At the center of this story is glutamate, an amino acid commonly found in proteins. When glutamate is still locked inside a protein chain,
That's brilliant.
it remains relatively quiet. But when proteins are broken down through long cooking, aging, curing, or fermentation, glutamate becomes free. In that state, it functions like a signal flare. On the tongue,
grilled skewers.
umami receptors,
I'll take
protein
2 of those,
gates on
please.
taste bud cells recognize glutamate
This
like a
looks
key cut to the right
amazing.
grooves. Once the signal is unlocked, taste cells fire electrical impulses and send the message to the brain. The brain doesn't say, "This is glutamate." The brain says, "This is worth eating." That's why slow-simmered bone broth, aged cheese, or fish sauce can feel deep and dense. They're rich in free glutamate. MSG, in essence, is simply glutamate packaged with sodium to make it stable and easy to use. It doesn't conjure umami out of nothing. It's more like placing a microscope over a signal that already exists in the dish, sharpening what's already there. Salt, NaCl, and MSG look almost identical. Both are white crystals. Both dissolve quickly in water. Both make food taste better. But physiologically, they function like two different kinds of messages. Salt works through a blunt but effective mechanism. Sodium ions pass through salty taste channels, boosting overall savoriness and lifting other flavors. It's like turning up the master volume. The problem is that excessive sodium intake at the population level is linked to higher blood pressure, a silent killer, because the damage arrives slowly, without drama, but with persistence. MSG is different. Yes, it contains sodium, but it isn't just sodium. The rest is glutamate, an umami signal that triggers the sensation of enough protein without requiring a proportional rise in saltiness. In other words, in many recipes, MSG can help reduce added salt while preserving deliciousness, an important strategy in public health nutrition, where people want to cut sodium but can't realistically demand that everyone eat as blandly as hospital food. One of the strangest traits of misinformation is this: it doesn't need to be true to survive. It only needs to be easy to retell.
Look,
MSG
right there.
causes headaches.
I think that's
is
Orion's
short,
belt.
punchy,
It's beautiful. I've never
and
seen them
comes
this
with
clear.
a clear villain. Meanwhile,
Down there.
the evidence is inconsistent,
Absolutely
Dose
stunning
dependent.
from up here.
shaped by meal context, and influenced by expectation effects, is the kind of sentence no one wants printed as a headline. In the 1970s and 1980s, fear of MSG grew into a cultural habit. No MSG signs appeared not only for nutritional reasons, but as a matter of business survival. And on the other side of the market sat an ethical paradox. Many processed foods still relied on free glutamates from yeast extract, hydrolyzed proteins, flavorings, and more to deepen savory taste while avoiding the name MSG outright. No, MSG became a moral label, even as the product kept chasing the same effect through a detour. This is where the power of imaginary purity becomes unmistakable. Instead of asking what a dish does to the body, people ask whether it resembles the image they want to believe in. The food industry understands this perfectly. Fear becomes a branding tool. One side sells purity,
This is absolutely
the other sells taste. And both steer consumer behavior through emotion more than physiology. The 21st century poses a hard problem. How do we feed more people while damaging fewer ecosystems? We're advised to eat more plants, beans, mushrooms, seeds, alternative proteins, but the biggest barrier isn't knowledge. The barrier is the feeling of being deprived of flavor. Here, umami becomes a bridge. Meat is appealing not only because of protein, but because of a molecular network that creates depth glutamate and natural nucleotides that resonate into a fuller umami experience. When making plant-based foods, if that depth layer is missing, the dish can feel thin and fake. MSG can function like a flavor framework. It won't turn beans into meat, but it can give bean-based dishes a sensory weight, making the shift towards sustainable eating less painful. More importantly, MSG suggests a philosophy instead of using more salt and more fat to force flavor onto food. We can use a subtler biological signal to reach satisfaction with less sodium in certain formulations. It opens the possibility of designing food around a principle of less, but enough less sodium, fewer resources, yet still attractive enough that people actually want to eat it and can stick with it. Of course, MSG isn't a magic wand. It doesn't replace nutrition. It doesn't replace fresh food. And it shouldn't become an excuse to legitimize low-quality eating, but in the right place, at the right dose. It's a sharp example of a simple truth. Sometimes the solution of the future isn't washing away chemicals, but using chemistry correctly. MSG doesn't change the nature of a dish. It simply brings out what the dish already has, the potential to become like a magnifying glass held over flavor, or a subtle amplifier for an umami signal the body is already wired to recognize.